Hello, everybody, and welcome to Movies, Comics, Understanding,
Oh.
the MCU Podcast. I am Fragger, also known as Brandon, and with me, as always, is...
Chris. Larios. Person.
I'm just going to cut that so you just say, like, Chris, Lars! Make it really fast.
You can just speed it up.
Yes, so we are back.
Add pitch to it.
Exactly.
Chris Larios.
The Mickey Mouse filter. So we are off after an unexpected week off, mainly because a lot of things happened last week. We recorded a podcast, but a few things kind of transpired to make it not release. One of them, me being incredibly lazy. Two,
Well, Destiny occupied you.
Destiny did occupy a lot more free time than I did, to the point where when Monday, when it was down for the day, I was like, I need my Destiny. I'd be like staring, I'm like, where's my fix?
Come on. Don't hold out on me, girl.
But no, it's weird, little small side tangent of that, because we have no time for that this week. It scratches every single itch, just that perfect mixture of MMO and shooter. That's just like crack.
I just have no PS4.
It's also on the 360.
The one or the 360?
All of them.
Uh,
It's on all four.
I want to get it on the next gen, though.
Well, okay, one final thing on that. This is
As we tangent onto Destiny for 30 minutes.
No. Here's actually something really cool. If you start playing it on the 360 and then you get a one, or as long as you stay on the same console system, they're cross-generational characters, so you can actually bring them from like the 360 to the one, or the PS3 to the PS4.
Ah, that's pretty cool.
It's really cool that they do that. But if you're thinking of jumping, because I thought you were thinking of jumping,
I am. I'm probably going to go for PS4.
Then I wouldn't recommend it. I would actually just recommend trying out the beta so you can see if it's your cup of tea. But then again, it probably is, because the game is damn near perfect.
I mean, it's essentially just like Borderlands mixed with a little bit more Halo, kind of.
Borderlands, but without the shitty humor and the shitty gun mechanics.
I don't like the humor in Borderlands. How dare you, sir?
It was incredibly juvenile in the second game.
I still liked it.
Yeah, Destiny goes for more hard sci-fi, which is much more my tea.
Uh,
Hard sci-fi mixed with fantasy, because you're like using like space wizards, which is awesome. But on to the things that we actually do need to talk about. So that's what happened last week. Also, we talked about pizza for half of the fucking podcast. It has to do with the fact that we talked about merchandising a lot. So what's end up happening is we're probably going to be skipping the feature, which was us talking about Rocket Raccoon, until maybe next week, because of how fucking jam-packed this episode's going to be. And or if we have the time, it's going to be just shoved at the end of the episode. So we'll play it by ear and see how that goes. But when we need to take a week off, that episode will come out as a bonus for a week that we take off.
Shazam.
Yeah, so it'll be really weird when that happens. I'll probably do like an intro for it and be like, guys, this happened ages ago.
Remember that one week nothing happened, so we talked about Avengers Pizza?
And the TMNT pizzas, too.
Yes. A lot of pizzas. A lot of
And
novelty.
Where's the Galaxy Subway tie-in?
Avocados.
Avocado. We talked about avocados. Okay, so we have to get serious face, because we have an ass ton of news.
It was
Everything happened.
We finished that episode. I think we recorded like a day earlier than we
We're
normally
not
do.
Monday because I was doing stuff Tuesday night, which is
And like
when we usually record.
the next day, big piece of news comes out.
Three
And then-
big pieces of news happened within like hours of each other.
Yeah, within like 36 hours, like 5 big stories had come out. And then, since that day we recorded, there has been at least one big piece of news or interview that's come out since then. So I've been compiling notes, and I have literally 4 pages in Word of notes of interviews, and in my like bullet points underneath that for things to discuss during it. It's ridiculous how much has come out since then.
Yeah, it was. We took the wrong week to do it a day early.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it would have helped much. We would have buffered like 3 or 4 news stories, but there's still a ridiculous amount of stuff that has come out. We thought that, hey, they'd be quiet until Comic-Con.
We were wrong.
Kevin Feige was just like, oh, the gag order's finally up. I can talk to fucking everybody. So let's start it off. Let's start off easy with some Guardians of the Galaxy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's not like any crazy big news here per se on Guardians of the Galaxy, If you've been following James Gunn or anything like that, you know he's been slowly releasing these posters for characters for the movie. We got most of the major Guardians, and then the past week we've gotten posters for all the villains. You know, for Corpsman Day, John C. Reilly's character, Nova Prime, Glenn Close, Yondu, and the Collector. And why I bring this up, there's someone who's actually compiled all the posters for Guardians of the Galaxy. If you want to see it, it's on Imager, imager.com/A/B as in boy, A as in apple, T as in Tom, J as in Jason, 8. So BATGJ8. If you go there, has all of the posters on there, and there's some pretty cool ones in there.
I think one of my personal favorites is actually the Ronin poster and the Collector. Those are two of my favorites.
I like if I just count the ones we've just seen.
Yeah, take out the Guardians out of that.
Yeah, I like the Korath one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Ronin one's pretty sweet, and I do like the Yondu one.
Michael Rooker looks like he plays an awesome Yondu.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how that's all going to come down. Collector, that's the one guy that, upon discussing for weeks and weeks how I'm no longer worried about this, it's the one guy I should say I am still worried about fucking the Collector, just because of that after scene in Thor.
He's supposed to be wacky.
I know, but it's just, I hope it's better than that.
You know, I actually, last night when it was like 2 o'clock in the morning and I was just browsing through things, I actually bumped into, it was the Thor premiere. Mm-hmm. So kind of like how they talk to some directors about they talked to Stephen McKnight about Daredevil at the premiere of Avengers. They talked to James Gunn after Thor, and they actually asked him about that end credit scene, about how he filmed it. And he said, oh yeah, we filmed that in like 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It definitely doesn't... It sort of looked not unfinished. It just did not look like they spent a whole lot of time working on it.
They actually said that's what they do for most of their end credit scenes, that they actually schedule time so that when they figure out what they want to do for it, that all those post-credit scenes aren't written into the movie.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
Much later, so they figure out what they're going to do. And I'm like, that's a really cool way of doing that, because, and something I had no idea, Feige actually said, none of them are required viewing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they're just teases. That's what they've always been. They're sort of just teases for the next movie, or, little Easter egg credit sort of scenes.
The closest one is the very first one to being actually required. Or the one at the end of Thor, when he shows the Tesseract.
Okay, yeah, I mean, all of them sort of have little bits and pieces that help, but yeah, it said none of them are required viewing. It's not like if you miss the Captain America Winter Soldier one, you're going to be lost for Avengers Age of Ultron. You're still going to be able to figure out what's happening.
And you're not going to miss much by missing the Avengers one, other than the fact that the internet has already told you what it is.
Yeah, they're just like, who's that purple guy? It's Thanos. What are you, stupid?
What are you, dumb?
Thanks.
It's the Bad Titan. What the fuck?
Just don't read comics. Don't insult me this much.
Nerd.
You stupid monkey.
Sheeple. So, what else?
Track list for Guardians of the Galaxy score has been released. Now, I'm not going to comment on this because I haven't actually read the article, because scores are notorious for spoiling the shit out of it. You can find it if you're interested on comicbookmovie.com. Tyler Bates is doing the score. That was the one we were thinking about before. He worked with James Gunn on Slither, along with some other projects. He has a lot of stuff under his belt. 300.
We actually discussed his pedigree before.
Yeah.
And he's done some rad scores.
He did a lot of that stuff. So if you're interested, go check it out. But again, be warned that you very easily get in there, read the track list. The track 14 is called like Rocket's Dead or something like that. And you're spoiling the movie for you.
By the way, Rocket's dead.
Yeah, watch out for that.
Spoiler alert.
And the last two pieces I have aren't necessarily Guardians news per se, though they kind of attach themselves to the Guardians franchise. The first is that because Guardians is on its way out, it's going to be out in basically about a week for us. James Gunn and all the rest of the cast are kind of doing the press tour right now. And recently, James Gunn was on Adam Carolla's podcast.
I'm sorry. What? I mean, what?
Now, if you want to, you can listen to it. It's adamcarolla.com. You can find the James Gunn episode. I wouldn't honestly recommend the interview that much. I don't think he gets that much from it. And unlike the Kevin Pereira podcast, where if this was your first time kind of experiencing them, you're like, what a fun guy. I don't know, just being around Adam Carolla just doesn't, I don't think, a very promising way of introducing yourself to someone, because it's a lot of Adam Carolla is very much in the mind like comic books are for fucking virgins and idiots. Like that's his mentality. So it's a lot of joking around that. But one thing that did come out during it is that James Gunn said he will return to direct a sequel for Guardians of the Galaxy if the first one is successful.
Which I'm very excited about because James Gunn is just one of those filmmakers I would love to see him do. I'd like to see him just get, like, oh, now you have our trust. Go even crazier.
It's interesting you say that because the second piece I have there is connected to that.
Ooh,
now this
segue.
This is an article from Badass Digest who did an interview, and they were talking with James Gunn about this, and that topic came up where it's just like, oh, would you direct a second Guardians of the Galaxy movie? And his response was along the lines of, yeah, I mean, I'd definitely do it. I signed on to do 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And then he stopped and he's like, well, actually, I signed on to do 2 Marvel-related properties. At which point the interviewer was like, are you going to direct Avengers 3?
Mm-hmm.
And James Gunn was like, I have to go, and left. The person then afterwards asked Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige's like, no, he's not. But it is worth noting that, we know that Joss Whedon is going to be directing Avengers 2, but he is not on for a third one yet. So it is very possible.
He's almost pretty much said that he's done after 2, unless things go well, probably. Mm-hmm. It all depends on mentality and whatnot once he's done with that, because I think it was the whole Edgar Wright thing kind of made him go, I don't want to do a third.
Yeah, and it can be very emotionally exhausting to do 2 huge movies like that without that much of a time difference between them, especially since he's been almost like an executive producer for all of the other movies because he's sort of overseeing the universe in the same way Kevin Feige is. So I definitely could see him being like, I'm kind of tired with this right now, and I'll still be there to help you guys out, but I don't want to direct a third one. So it's interesting that James Gunn's contract, notes that, and that the potential is open there. Everyone seems to be pretty high on this guy right now.
I have a very strong feeling that he could easily do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because if the third one's going to be Thanos, and he's already been living and breathing this universe, he may be the good person to do it. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Who knows, honestly? But that's a while off still.
Yeah, it's a while off, but it is worth noting there. At the very least, though, if Guardians of the Galaxy is successful, which it should be, I think early projections right now have actually bumped it up, and it may even debut somewhere in the 70 to 80 million range. So that alone in America is enough to quantify it as a success. So if we do get to Guardians 2, James Gunn at the very least will be directing that.
Yeah. And do you want me to talk about the red carpet stuff now?
Yes.
Okay. So we record these on Tuesdays. This mainly started because of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so we could talk about it fresh, but we've been keeping that. So yesterday, which is why I prefaced all this with that, the premiere of Guardians of the Galaxy happened. Mm-hmm. So there's been a ton of tweets of people saying how amazing it is. Just endless amounts of people saying how much they love it. Mm-hmm. And but we also got red carpet interviews. Now there was a bunch of them I wasn't a big fan on. It mainly had to do with didn't really like Chris Pratt's too much.
Aww.
It mainly had to do with he was a little flighty.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
But it was kind of because the thing is unlike most of these red carpet interviews, the person from Marvel doing it, because those are the ones I watched, she was actually asking more important questions than "What are you wearing?" Those kind of dumb red carpet things.
She's like, what would Star-Lord wear to this?
It was more like some fun stuff when they asked Vin Diesel, when they're talking to Vin Diesel about Groot. So it's just so what was it like, voicing a character who only says 3 words? Mm-hmm. And we actually got more into what his script was actually like, which I had no idea. He actually said it was just one side was just I am Groot, and the other side was the translation of what the I'm Groot actually means. So he's like, okay. And he said it was a 60-page script of just I am Groot.
Oh, that's the one thing I can't wait for the Guardians DVD to come out on is just the behind the scenes in the actor studio of them. All right, in this I am Groot scene, fucking Rocket just stepped on your foot and you're in pain, but he's still your friend. And just the 12 takes of I'm Groot.
Also, you're thinking of your family at the same time.
Yeah. Also, you kind of feel despondent, like you're not really ever going to belong here, but this is your family at the same time, and go, I am Groot. Just like, nailed it.
Got it.
Fucking perfect.
Uh,
Hodor himself couldn't be as good as you.
exactly. The other one I wasn't a big fan of was Bradley Cooper.
Aw.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper's always been the one in regards to this movie that has felt the most detached from it.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's, voice acted for all of it. He didn't motion capture for Rocket. That was all James Gunn's brother. So he's the one who, whenever I see him in interviews, he's always like very quick about it. And I'm sure to him, he's just like, this is a really big payday for me.
I have a very big feeling, though, that when it comes to a sequel or whenever Rocket's going to be appearing again, he's going to have a much bigger deal than just sitting in a studio. He's probably going to be on set.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. If he comes back for it, I mean, that's also a role they can easily replace if they need to.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who else was awesome? Glenn Close was awesome.
Was she really that good? Because I want her to be really excited for this.
She was incredibly excited.
Because
like, this is cool.
So many times when you get like the really like important actor or actress, like the one who's been in the industry for a while, who's in these Marvel movies, they just don't give a fuck, like Anthony Hopkins. I'm glad to see that she's excited.
It was funny because her interview was more talking about the artistry behind the film. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about how it was really cool that the sets were gorgeous, like the costuming was amazing, and she was talking about all that stuff. And she also did hints like, "Oh, I'm not into." It's like, unfortunately, though, I'm not into the movie till towards the end.
Oh,
like, I want more Glenn Close. Damn it.
Well, that's still good. Good.
Who else? James Gunn did a James Gunn thing. Michael Rooker was fucking hilarious, being like completely going off on random tangents and being Michael Rooker.
Yeah, I can see that.
You're like, yeah, Michael Rooker, that guy I barely know.
Yeah, Michael. That sounds like Mike. That sounds like Mickles.
But the one who was probably my favorite was Batista's.
Well, that's good.
He was just like, this is amazing. What? Just like completely in awe that he's doing this.
I mean, he was in the Riddick. I was trying to think of Vin Diesel. He was in Riddick, but then outside of that guy has not been in big movies before. I think that like the other movie he was in was that like Ghostface Killer Tai Chi movie or whatever it was. So this guy has not had like a stellar list of movies. So going from those movies to this has to be a huge jump up for the guy.
Yeah. So all in all, it was kind of neat. There were some other things that I've heard. Like my favorite story though was something I actually caught on like Extra or something. Mm-hmm. Was right after Vin Diesel did one of the interviews, he actually moved like past the press line to the crowd and said, "Whose birthday is it?" to the crowd waiting, and he started singing "Happy Birthday" to somebody in the crowd.
It looked like somebody, like you'd think at least one person would just be like, "Well, fuck it." It's like he's gonna check my fucking birth certificate. It's my birthday, Vin Diesel.
But he got the rest of the crowd to sing too.
That is cool.
It was just a really cool shot of him going, "Come on, do it."
I'll have a little bit more on Vin Diesel later. I have some interesting news regarding him.
He's awesome.
Yes, he is.
He also, one of my favorite things though was why they actually did ask him. My favorite question to ask somebody is like, "Why'd you take this role?" And he's like, "It piqued the thespian in me. Can I actually pull off a role where all I say is I am Groot?"
I know he had a story where he was he took home like the cast poster or whatever, like the thing that showed the 5 Guardians. Mm-hmm. He took it home to his kid and he said, "Hey, who do you think Daddy's going to be in this movie? Who do you think I'm going to be?" And his kid, I'm sorry, I don't know the gender of the child, immediately pointed towards Groot. And he was like, he or she was like, that's who you're going to be. And that's when Vin Diesel was like, "I know I have a special role when my kid can instantly point out who I'm going to be in that lineup."
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, fucking one of them's a chick, one of them's a raccoon. The kid had a pretty good shot, but still, it is pretty cool.
He could have been Drax.
He could have been Drax. He could have been Peter Quill, honestly.
I don't know if he could be the comedic.
I'm not saying he could. I'm saying to a child's perception.
Yeah.
I could see Daddy putting on a leather jacket
and sexing all the ladies.
Yeah, and sexing all the ladies up.
Now your stuff.
Okay, so let's get into some kind of simple news here. There's a lot of casting news that's come out in the past. Well, I shouldn't say some interesting ones. So we'll start with Daredevil. 2 pieces of Daredevil casting news. The first, is Deborah Ann Wool, who plays, I believe, Jessica is her name on True Blood. I'm not a True Blood guy at all, so I don't know her
I
per
don't
se.
watch shitty shows.
Okay, good, good. We're on the same page then.
Yeah.
But anyway, she has been cast to play the female lead, Karen Page, in Marvel's Daredevil. So, from what I understand, I don't know her personally, though most people seem to be pretty excited about this who have watched True Blood. They say that she's one of the better parts of that show. She's actually a pretty good actress,
One of
and
those two things.
people who know the two properties are like, no, she'd fit really well with Karen Page. And I bring this up only because it's been brought up before, and I don't want to. I'm not bringing this up in a way that's I don't want it to be portrayed as like I'm bringing this up like it's a fact and that this is something that came into the play of her casting or anything like that. It's just something worth noting, I suppose. Uh, Wool's boyfriend actually suffers from a condition that ultimately leads to blindness. So it's possible that maybe, and she's big into trying to raise awareness for it. This might also be something that ties into it. If she's going to be playing Daredevil's love interest, that might be something that plays into it.
Yeah, that's a weird twist.
Yeah, worth noting anyway. Second little piece of news is that Peter Shinkoda, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, has been cast to play Hachiro in Daredevil. Now, Hachiro is not a character from Daredevil's pool. It's not like a Marvel character in general. It's supposedly a character completely invented for the show. Though, based off the name Hachiro, you can presume this character has Japanese roots.
I actually thought it was going to be Irish.
Yeah, it's Hachiro Brady. Hi, I am gonna knock your teeth out, Daredevil.
I'm incredibly sorry for what just happened.
But Hachiro probably going to be Japanese, and it's very likely his character might tie into the hand, since the pieces are starting to fall into place for that. And if that's the case, my earlier prediction of Rosario Dawson playing Echo seems to be more and more likely. I'm holding on to it.
Yep.
But anyway, that's the Daredevil news.
I have a piece of Daredevil news.
Ooh, go for it.
Because, as I alluded to earlier, they talked to the showrunner at the Guardians premiere.
Ooh.
And they asked him a few questions about Daredevil, and he pretty much said, I can't say anything. Because he said, well, one, we're shooting. And they actually asked him something, and he pretty much alluded to that Vincent D'Onofrio was killing it as Kingpin.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm like, duh. It's Vincent D'Onofrio. What is he going to do? Like, pretend?
Suck? It's impossible.
Well, to be fair, we have had stuff like John Malkovich in Aragon, where he didn't John Malkovich that movie.
Well, it wasn't Aragon like a stinking pile of crap anyway.
Yes, but all they had was him sitting in a chair telling people to do things and not like overacting. It's like saying, "Hey, Nicolas Cage, can you go be like sincere and quiet in the scene?"
I just saw that actually. I watched the movie Joe, and that's all he is in that movie. Is like fucking quiet and restrained. It's so weird.
Was he actually being good though?
No, he was fucking terrible.
There
The
you
movie
go.
Sucked.
There you go. So that's one of those things. It's like, you don't want to waste a character like that. And D'Onofrio isn't, of course, as I'm going to devour the scenery with my jaws. But yeah, I can definitely see that. And he also talked about tone a bit. And he said they're shooting it like a very like 70s style type show. Like it's going to be grit. They said they wanted to make it a little bit colorful, but gritty.
That's the cool. I want it to be more along the line of what these current Netflix shows are like, with your House of Cards and your other kind of Netflix exclusives. I want it to have that kind of edge to it that wouldn't air on cable television or might be too strong for cable television. And it sounds like that's kind of what they're going for. Now, I know they say it has a 1970s feel, but I believe it's still taking place
yes, it's still going to take
day.
place in current time, but he's saying it's going to have like that noir feel. So I'm thinking like noir angles. Very heavy emphasis on shadow.
Oh yeah, I imagine they can do a lot in terms of direction on that show and lighting and set design to really kind of give it that unique feel. Because from what I understand, and I think we may have mentioned this last week, but the current goal with these shows is that they will exist in the world of the Marvel Universe, but they aren't necessarily going to tie into anything else unless, they prove so popular or, unless it really calls for it. Otherwise, these Daredevils and Jessica Jones and all that, they're going to exist in their part of the world.
I
and
have
not
a
have to
very
connect.
strong feeling that unless everyone's completely burned out or they're awful,
Mhm.
they're gonna probably do well because I think on average most of the Netflix series do great by default.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think
Even Hemlock Grove does
I was
good.
gonna say didn't people hate the shit out of Hemlock Grove, but
It did
yeah,
so well that it got a second season.
that's true. So yeah, I mean, it should do well, and hopefully, I wanted to open up the opportunity for at least Daredevil to kind of make it into one of those movies because I want that vindication of Daredevil on the big screen again. Just be like, hey, he works. He's not awful this time.
Could very easily happen. We don't know.
But we'll see.
So continuing with your stuff.
We then have some Agents of Shield casting news.
What?
Yeah, just real quick. Lucy Lawless has came out just yesterday. She's been cast for the second season of Agents of Shield.
My God.
Currently, nothing really known about it. Who she's playing, how long she's going to be playing, anything like that. But even without kind of knowing who she's going to play or anything like that, that feels like kind of home run casting on that. Because years of Xena, Battlestar Galactica, this feels like a woman who can go into that show, knows that kind of nerd culture, that comic culture, and can still do the comedy, the action, and the drama all at once.
I was gonna say she's either gonna be throwing a disc or believing in God really heavily. That's it.
Yeah.
She was not my favorite part of Battlestar.
Well, I didn't see Battlestar, so I can't say, but I have seen more than my fair share of Xena the Warrior Princess episodes, and it always seemed like she was like a fun kind of show. I wouldn't have taken.
Okay, I'm not saying that she was bad at Battlestar. I just really didn't like her character because she was the overzealous Cylon.
Okay,
It was
what
like,
are
you gotta believe in God, guys. Seriously,
well,
that
maybe
was her character.
maybe we had to believe in God, guys. Come on,
That I don't want to
stop
get
being a
into my,
heathen.
my dislike of Battlestar Galactica for going way too far on that shit. To the point where I was just like, I can't even stand this anymore.
All right, fair enough. And then finally, and this isn't casting news per se, but this is
This
sort
man
of
got his leg in a cast.
it's kind of like casting news. Agent Carter actually had some information about it because we actually haven't had a whole lot of information about Agent Carter since it was announced.
Yep.
So this is actually from the filmdivider.com, and it's just a little bit of info on the supporting cast of Agent Carter. Now, if you're interested in it, I'm just going to kind of give you quick blurbs. If you want to read the whole thing, go to filmdivider.com and check it out. But the side cast as of now looks like there's going to be the deputy director, Roger Dooley, who sounds like he's going to be kind of the hardworking moral center at the top of the chain, kind of, I guess, like that times version of Coulson a little bit.
Yes.
But maybe a little bit more baby boomer, so a bit different ethics.
More hair.
Agent Jack Thompson, who's going to be, it sounds like he's going to be Peggy's sexist foil in the workplace because he's the one person who's just like, women don't belong here, and he's young, he's handsome, he's brash, so he's going to be kind of like that foil within the work environment.
Get out of here, babe.
Yeah. Why don't you go get me a sandwich there, toots? Boom, bang.
Smack.
Get out of here, skirt. Edward Hutchins, which doesn't have a lot about him. It's just he's an agent and he lies to his wife about his job to keep her from worrying. That's all I really managed to pull from what they said about him.
That one coming.
So I was just like, okay, does he have anything else? There's Daniel Sosa, who's an injured war hero who's now trying to he's trying to adjust basically to a life that's now in the office and now dealing with office politics as opposed to finer war. And the way I kind of imagine him is similar to what May was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before she got picked up onto the team,
Yeah.
Someone who had an incident, bad things happened from it, and now she's stuck in the workplace and fucking hates it. So I can see that's kind of the character they're maybe going with this Daniel guy on. They'll probably be like the friend character or something like that. And then Angie Martinelli, who's going to be Peggy's non-S.H.I.E.L.D. friend. I guess in the show she works as a waitress, dreams of being a singer, but she's basically going to be that kind of anchor to the world outside of S.H.I.E.L.D. for Peggy to have.
Cool.
But worth noting, a little bit of info on the cast. I'm sure we'll get a lot more once Comic-Con comes around.
I have a little bit of info on both shows that I
Okay.
forgot about because I actually bumped into these.
Go
They
for
actually have set a release date for Shield, which is September 23rd,
it. Yes.
is when the premiere is going to be happening, and they did reinforce the fact that there is going to be. They said it was going to be 22 episodes that are going to be back to back. Then it's going to take a break. Then 12. During that break is going to be Agent Carter, which is going to be 8 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, they said it's going to be starting in January for the mid-season break. And another confirmation for Agent Carter 1, because I know they didn't confirm this until somewhere recently, that Dominic Cooper is going to be in the show in a bigger capacity than, hi, I'm Howard Stark.
Yeah,
Bye.
it's me, Howard Stark. I can go drive this car recklessly after having my kid. So we've made the timeline make sense. Whoa!
Whee! and that's it. So no, they're not.
He's actually going to have some kind of role in the show.
Yeah, they actually say here that he is going to be she's going to be working with him in secret.
Okay.
So I thought he was part of the founding of Shield, so I don't understand why she's going to be secretly working with him on missions. But I do like the fact they've said it's going to be 8 episodes, and I really dig that. And they've also said the writing begins next month for shooting in September.
Okay,
So
that makes sense.
We got some Agent Carter news, which I'm actually more excited for that than Shield, although I really liked where Shield went in season 1. I just like the fact that it's going to be 8 episodes. Boom.
8 episodes is a nice, tight, concise season.
It allows them to have an arc.
Yes. And to not have to stretch it out with any filler episodes or anything like that. No Jack's tattoo bullshit. I can tell I'm still angry about that episode.
No, it's not like every single time we talk about filler TV episodes and dramas. The
I
Jack's
just had to bring up that
Tattoos.
fucking Jack's tattoo episode.
To be fair, that's the episode that murdered my interest in that show. So,
God, it was such a waste of time. Anyway, we're going to kind of get into the bigger, meatier, more discussion generating.
oh yeah, but I do have one bit of merchandising news.
Okay.
I actually
Okay.
sent this to you today.
Yes, and I'm looking at it right now, and it makes me wish I had money.
Yes, so they have on the PlayStation blog, which I view all the time because they actually churn out a ton of news. There's usually at least 4 articles a day about something. And today they announced the big deluxe starter kit for Disney Infinity 2.0, which is the new version, which is introducing all the Marvel characters. And my God, does that look fucking awesome.
It has, I'm assuming, does it come with the PS4 or is it just that? Okay, no, it is just the
That's just the
collector's
game.
edition. Okay, so it's a very healthy chunk of change, but you get this big awesome, because I guess that's the uploading set. I don't know the terminology for.
So this is I only know it based on Skylanders.
Okay.
I didn't play Infinity, but folks should. It's like exactly the fucking same.
Yeah.
There's the little disc is where you upload the big thing, because I'll explain this in depth for everybody else in a second. That's actually just a stand that lights up.
Oh, okay. So that's
a
stand.
display case.
Oh, okay. I see.
So this is the starter kit it's the Marvel superhero starter kit, which comes with Hulk, Captain America, Black Widow, Iron Man, Thor, and Hawkeye. Which that's a big chunk of dudes.
All the Avengers, essentially.
They said they wanted it to be the Avengers set.
Yeah.
And they have. They also, but it comes with a display case, so you can put all these figures in, and it lights up, and it's with a frost giant bursting out of the display case to attack the heroes.
It's a very cool looking set.
Yeah, I highly recommend looking this thing up because this is quite awesome. But this thing is a little expensive. How much is it again?
$250 based off of what I'm seeing down here. Oh, wait, no, hold on. That's for the PS3 version that comes with the PS3.
Okay, so yeah.
So maybe I was looking at the wrong one. I don't see another
probably
price
going
on
to be
here.
over $100.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be, they're looking at about $120 because each of those figures usually on their own are about, I actually don't know the Infinity pricing structure, but for Skylanders, it was $10 a figure.
Good Lord.
So those things, I think what Destiny did was they did 3-packs, and they were maybe $20 for a 3-pack.
I could take that.
And,
now, do you know what you're getting, though, or are they covered up?
Oh, no, they're not blind buys.
Okay, cool.
And for anyone who doesn't know how these games work, when you buy these characters, and they're pretty much figure DLC. So you buy them and you get a figure and you put them in the little stand and you play as that person. So you're buying the character that you want to play. And I mean, you don't have to buy the packs. You can go to places like GameStop or whatever. They sell individuals. But this pack is the game, the figures, the docking stand so you can play the game, and a display case. So it's just awesome. I'm like looking at this going, God damn it, I need to buy that.
Maybe I'll buy the 250 starter pack that comes with the PS3, and then I can get Destiny on it and upgrade to the PS4 for another $300.
Or you could take that PS3 and like go to one of the usually the GameStop will do like trade-in sales so you can upgrade your systems and you can get a bunch of money for it and actually like have the cost of a PS4.
Yeah, but then I don't have to buy. I won't be able to play my Marvel Heroes game.
That's a good point. That's why I'm buying the PS4 version.
Yeah, I'll just buy PS4 eventually.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that. I mean, the toy box mode for Infinity is really awesome. Allows you to build your own levels.
Mm-hmm.
And each time you get a big character, you can actually like build stuff in their world. So you can have the Hulk running around inside of like the Toy Story world.
Which is pretty cool, because I could finally go beat up all those Disney characters I don't like.
Boom.
Yeah, I'm like, take this, Belle, bam!
And there is some news about Infinity 2.0 that ties into some of our bigger topics.
Okay, go for it.
Well, no, once we get into them. Actually, I will say them now. So the Marvel announced that there's going to be some changes to some characters. And after that happened, the people who are making Infinity, they said, hey, are you guys going to be having these characters in the future? And they said, depending on the popularity, yes.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, we do. I do have that on my list to talk about.
I wonder why, because it's kind of fucking huge. And there's so much confusion about it.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot to say on this topic.
It's almost like I spent an entire day on this topic on Twitter myself. That was not a fun day.
All right, so here's the first little bit of big news before we get into Kevin Feige's 7,000 interviews. Recently on IndieWire.com, the news came out about Marvel setting up dates for the next 5 movies beyond what we already knew they had set up.
Up to 2016.
They had up to 2016. Now they've released the additional 5 dates. Actually, they must have had one listed for 2017 because the 5 dates are 2017, 2018, and 2019. So
I thought it only went up to 2016.
No, we now know up to 2019. We don't know the movies.
Jesus.
But we now have the dates. So, we knew Ant-Man was coming out July 17, 2015. Captain America 3 was May 6, 2016. And it seems pretty likely that we're going to be getting Doctor Strange July 8th, 2016 as well. Because we know that's coming up, and we know the current plan for Phase 3 is one new franchise, one old franchise.
Actually, Feige said it's funny how that's working out, but we're not going to be continuing it.
Oh, okay.
They actually did ask him about that. It's kind of strange how you've been for the past, I think it's since this year, it's been a new franchise, and it went a sequel, then a new franchise, and it's like, we're not going to be continuing that. It's like, it's been kind of working out that way, but that's not our intention. It's just been happening that way.
All right. Well, it is worth knowing. Doctor Strange, I feel like, is going to fit into that spot, though.
It probably is because we know about it.
Yeah, we know for certain that it's happening, and we're just kind of waiting for casting.
Unless it gets Ant-Man.
Yeah. Well, God, we'll see about that. I have some Ant-Man news stuff coming up real quick.
Jesus.
But anyway, the dates after that, and here's where it gets really interesting. When we get to 2017, there are actually 3 dates in 2017. Now, to this point, we'd only ever gotten at most 2. Now we're getting 3 in 2017. May 5th, July 28th, and November 3rd all get 2017 movies.
Oh, my God.
Then in 2018, we have July 6th and November 2nd. And this finally ends with May 3rd, 2019.
Yeah.
So a lot of movies there. I kind of started trying to fill in what I thought everything was going to be. And it got confusing for myself.
Just make them all Doctor Strange movies. It's fine.
I went in. I put Doctor Strange in there. I like Thor 3 for May after that. And then I put like maybe Black Panther in July 28th. And then it just goes to shit. Because a lot of people are saying, well, May 3rd, 2019 is going to have to be Avengers 3 because that's, the end of what they announced. And
No.
Avengers movies are always 3, are always in May. I thought Avengers 3 was 2018. I thought that was something they basically.
I thought it was going to be earlier than that.
Because what we got the first Avengers in 2012?
Yep.
And we're getting the next one 2015. 3 years seems like the right number. So
that's why I was saying 2017 sounds about right. That's probably why they're doing 3.
That's why I figured it'd be in 2018 and we get it in July of 2018.
I have a really strong feeling the reason why they're doing 3 and 17 is because one of them is the Avengers 3.
It's possible. They may just be wanting to get movies out. There's talk right now that, and this is going to kind of a little bit play into the Avengers Now stuff, like they're going on with the comics, but there's 2 Inhumans now in the Avengers lineup. Medusa and some fucking fire dude whose name I don't know. And
that fucking fire face.
Fire dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I do not know the Inhumans at all.
Well,
I only know of Black Bolt.
Yeah. It may be worth noting, though, because there's a lot of interest being drummed up now because Fox owns the right to X-Men, and it keeps making the money. It doesn't sound like Marvel's going to be getting their rights back. But when you look at it, the Inhumans are basically like, and fuck it, they're kind of like the X-Men. They just all have fucking different powers.
Every single time that the Inhumans are brought up, they're like, we're not talking about that.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, that it might be something that's on their docket for that time frame, and it's a possible thing they're looking into.
I have a very strong feeling that we're not going to hear anything about Inhumans until a while from now. But the first thing that's going to happen is probably going to be another Inhuman's going to show up and point out that Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are Inhuman.
Yeah, I mean, we got those 2, and the term just right now for them is miracle,
which is dumb.
I like it. I mean, it's
to me, it just screams, well, M. What's another word that has M at the beginning?
I guess that's why I like it, because they're just like, fuck it, we can't use a mutant. Let's be as close to mutant as possible. We're miracles.
No, you didn't say it with a German enough accent.
Stuff for the miracles.
Because, Strucker.
Strucker.
Oh, God, I can't wait.
So, those are the dates. Just note them, because that's going to maybe play into some of the stories coming here. But as said, Kevin Feige was on every interview ever. I have.
Oh my God.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different news stories about Kevin Feige, and I deleted some of them that I was going to talk about just because, there's just not enough information in this one, or it's just small compared to the rest of this shit. So I'm going to start off with some Ant-Man stuff. He was interviewed a little bit about Ant-Man.
That interview. I read that one.
And I'm going to start off with the good side of this right now, because I want to note, I want to go into this on the positive angle. Woo. So, at a London screening for IGN, or a London screening for Guardians of the Galaxy, IGN.com reported this. Kevin Feige was asked a question, and I believe the question was, why do you feel Peyton Reed is the right choice for Ant-Man? And Kevin Feige's immediate response was, thank you for asking that question in that manner, because it shows that you're looking out for the best end product for this movie and not, the fucking drama of it. But he goes on to talk about Peyton Reed and how Peyton Reed and him have had a respect for one another since Reed originally was attached to the Fantastic Four movie a long time ago. Completely different script from what we got from Fox.
Hopefully it was much better.
Yeah, supposedly the only thing I've been able to read on it was the initial premise, which sounded Fantastic Four-y enough. So I don't know. It sounds like the whole project kind of fell through. But since then, Reed's actually been someone they've kind of tapped for their projects, but just never the guy who's been picked. He was even up for Guardians of the Galaxy, where they're just like, we liked him, but James Gunn is better.
He came out with a bigger swing.
Yeah, essentially, they just had someone who was always just fit what they were looking for a little bit better. But Feige said, felt that this would be one of the guys who'd be good for Ant-Man. And Reed initially didn't want to jump into this Ant-Man project because he was like, I don't want to just inherit something or follow someone.
I don't want to Brett Ratner this.
Yeah, I really don't want that. But they brought him in, sat him down. He read the script and he agreed with the direction and had ideas to add onto it. And basically, the whole kind of crux of this interview kind of boils down to this one quote that I really like from where Kevin Feige himself says, "This movie is in as good a shape as it's ever been right now." And the initial kind of pessimistic response was like, "Well, no shit, the guy who's making the movie is going to say it's in the best shape." But to me, this really just feels like, hey, they're not afraid of this movie at all. They're still really excited for it. They're still pushing this. Yeah. So I feel like that positivity hanging to that movie is a really good thing. And he has another quote here about how he said similar when Winter Soldier was coming out.
Yup.
You guys may not have heard of the Russo brothers, but you're going to be very big fans of them soon. And he's saying the same of Peyton Reed right now. We may not know who Peyton Reed is right now, but we're going to be big fans of him come the end of this.
That's why I'm completely like, you know what? Show me something, and then I'll be concerned.
Yes.
It's like, I don't care right now.
Yeah. And then to kind of close off this, he had another interview with TheGuardian.com, more along the lines of the Edgar Wright departure from it and why it happened.
Womp womp.
But I'll get it out there to kind of finish it up, and it has this great fucking quote at the end here. Basically, they kind of discuss how the decision was about creative differences, and it was something that wasn't there all the time. It just was a slow realization over time that the two sides just weren't working towards the same goal. Edgar Wright himself was the one who stated that the reason for the breakup, when they announced it, should be labeled as creative differences. But all that kind of came out from this, especially after Simon Pegg tweeted out like, "Oh, I read the script. It's brilliant. It's funny. It's incredibly creative, and it's a shame no one else is ever going to see it." Kind of painted this idea of Marvel Studios being this big evil studio, which Kevin Feige immediately is like, it's a shame that this happened. We're not this big evil studio that was afraid of a vision. And it leaves this quote that I fucking love. But the rationale that Marvel was scared, that the vision was too good, too far out for Marvel is not true. I don't want to talk too much about that because I think our movies speak to that. Go look at Iron Man 3. Go look at The Winter Soldier. Go see Guardians of the Galaxy later this month. It would have to be really out there to be too out there for us.
Yeah.
And that says everything that I feel needs to be said on that topic. Mm-hmm. Where he's just like, just watch the rest of our movies and see what the fuck we're doing, and then say if we're the big evil studio. We're all about taking risks. This just wasn't working. So
yeah,
nothing much else to say on that. I hope this is kind of the end of the Edgar Wright attachment to Ant-Man, and we kind of could just focus in now on getting excited for the Peyton Reed project and waiting for hopefully some fucking good news to start coming in about that.
Yeah. I want to jump in here quickly.
Okay.
While you were going through that, I decided to look up pricing about Disney Infinity.
Okay.
Because I was just like, how much does this shit fucking cost? So the starter pack, which only includes 3 dudes, which actually is Iron Man, Thor, and Black Widow, is $74 for the game, the charging station, and the 3 characters. Unfortunately, on GameStop, they also have pricing for individual figures and a 1 pack that includes 3 people. The Ultimate Spider-Man playset, which includes 2 figures and a disc, is $40.
Good lord.
Individual figures are currently priced at $15 a piece.
15 a piece.
They also have Nick Fury on here, Iron Fist, and Venom.
Okay. Venom's cool. Venom's very cool.
Yeah, I actually really like the Venom art, which I'll send to you because it actually looks really cool. Sorry for jumping in on there, but I just found that out and I thought that because we were actually talking about pricing, and
I just really quick wanted to check out to see if any new Marvel news has come out since then.
My God,
shocker! Another piece came out.
And what is it? A Kevin Feige interview?
No, thank God. But we do find out, and this is very small, but Colby Smulders will be reprising her role as Maria Hill in the 2nd season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I read that. I should have mentioned it. Shit.
We'll be getting a little bit more of that. Also, currently right now, there's this whole thing about John Boyega posting something on Twitter about currently booking a flight to Wakanda. And everyone's like, holy shit, he's Black Panther! But apparently, if you read the rest of his timeline, he's been talking just a fuck ton about how he really likes Marvel. So
Womp
that's
womp.
he's just really excited for shit right now. Even right before it, he says Marvel role. He. I'm damn right aiming for it. So this is just a guy who's fucking excited
We
and
all
wants to.
know who's going to be Black Panther, and it's Idris Elba. Duh.
Duh, fucking 90-year-old Black Panther.
Doesn't matter how old Idris Elba is. He'll still do it, and it'll be awesome.
They will. Back to Kevin Feige and his 7,000 interviews of life.
Now we're at 6,999 to go.
Yeah. He had an interview with Empire Online where he talked about a whole variety of topics. One real quick one he has on Edgar Wright and Ant-Man stuff, and it's not related to that, what I'm discussing. During it, he confirms that Ant-Man is going to begin filming on August 18th. And the interviewer asks him, like, isn't that kind of a small turnaround? And he responds, but the turnaround for this isn't actually all that different from what they had with the first Avengers or Iron Man 3. And those movies required a lot more after effects to it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not worried on that end. By the way, if you do read any of the articles we're talking about, this is the one I'd recommend the most because a lot of really cool stuff happens in this one. A lot of really good discussion comes out of it, but it's kind of all over the place. So that's why it's kind of a weird article. But one of the things he talks about during this is that he is not ruling out the idea of Vin Diesel playing someone else within the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
You know, he talks about how they're doing at least 2 movies a year for the foreseeable future. You know, they've got 10 more movies on the docket right now with big casts. And he's like, we're going to start fucking running out of Hollywood soon. So, yeah, we're definitely open to the idea of him playing someone else within the universe. If we find the right character or something like that, he definitely could be in there.
I mean, that's why he went to Marvel in the first place, was to play something else. Like, no, you're gonna be Groot. Do it. Go.
Go for it.
Yeah, he came in to pitch something else. He walked out being Groot. I actually love him talking about how he got the role. It's fucking hilarious.
What did he do?
He went in to like pitch a comic book or something.
Okay.
And then they ended up pitching him playing Groot. And he's like, okay. So he's like, I walked in with an idea and walked out with a job.
That's a pretty sweet life.
And he's like, that was weird. He was like, okay. I think it was him trying to pitch like a Riddick tie-in comic or something. And then he walked out being Groot.
God, I wish I could, like, to live in Vin Diesel for one day, to just be that guy.
And play some D&D.
Play D&D and fucking, like, walk around. Like, I make movies and it's super fun and that's my entire life and I love it.
I love the fact that he gets to, like, look like the big dumb guy and he's not.
Yeah. And he's just he seems like such a cool fucking dude.
Just stop being in comedies.
Just yeah, super nerd too. But yeah, we don't need to see what's the Pacifier. We don't need a sequel to that. But during this Empire Online article, Kevin Feige talks a little bit about their movie making strategy and about how they're always about taking risks and not always going with traditional casting. And he had this quote in regards to casting Robert Downey Jr. And if it had failed, at least it was an attempt to do something interesting as opposed to, oh, who's in the number one movie this weekend? Get that person. And we've always talked about how Marvel has great casting to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because almost anytime they cast somebody, you're like, that fucking
that's
perfect.
awesome.
It sounds so fucking perfect for it. And I mean, you do have to look at it. They do take risks a lot of what they're doing. And I like that they're still like, let's just keep taking, like, if we're ever doing something we feel safe, then we're probably not doing it right.
There was an interview with him I watched, and he said they treat every movie like this is the last movie they're gonna let us make.
Yeah, and I think that's a great goal because it's what gets them there, and it's, you know, it lights the fire for that creative edge to keep looking to do something different and not get complacent.
Let's be honest, Ant-Man has been, like, at this point is probably going to be one of the riskier movies just because of conditions, not because of content.
Yeah, I mean, getting the movie out that quickly with as much criticism and everything like that, the fact that they're still committed to it and that they're more excited for it now than ever, that bodes so well for the movie. Yeah, just earlier this year, Jupiter Ascending was cut out of the summer blockbuster season because, like, well, this is fucking terrible. Let's just hide it next year in February.
Whatever.
Yeah, just fucking get rid of it. And the fact that that's not the attitude they're taking with this, and I'm like, oh, let's just hide the fact that Ant-Man's like this, and we'll just, we'll put it out there and everything. But rather that they're so excited for it still, that speaks volumes to Marvel Studios to me.
Cool. So, next up.
There's still more to this actual interview.
God damn.
I'm
waiting for the ones that I really can't wait to talk about.
He has another one here where he's talking about that they have large visions in store for Captain America 3, and that same attitude applies to all of their 3 movies, which got me actually thinking about Iron Man 3, and I think I like that movie a little bit better now. Now that I'm kind of looking at it, that when they're doing a 3, they're trying to make it kind of have a very important impact in that. Like, they want all their 3s to be huge movies in the impact of that universe. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited for Captain America 3.
All Captain America 3 is just going to be is Steve being drunk.
Yeah, it's actually... that's another thing that popped up on my timeline here that I wasn't going to bring it up. But the writers of Captain America 3 confirmed that we will not see 1950s psychotic Captain America.
Yay!
We won't be seeing like justice, punch, 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 justice, which is a relief, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then finally, he talks a little bit at the end about Doctor Strange and how, I think the interviewer asked him like, "Oh, Scott Derrickson's directing Doctor Strange, right? So it's definitely going to have some horror elements because he's a horror guy." And Kevin Feige's like, just because he directs horror movies doesn't mean that Doctor Strange is going to be a horror movie or have a lot of horror elements to it. There'll probably be scary elements to it, but there are scary elements in a lot of our movies, I feel. So, it's going to be what the vision that Derrickson has for the movie, and that may or may not contain horror.
I kind of hope it does.
I imagine it'll be horror too, but maybe not like...
It won't be like, here's something spooky. It's going to be more along the lines of, it's going to be like...
Lovecraftian horror.
Yes, it's going to be more seeped in the attitude of horror.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more of a visual kind of psychedelic horror almost, because that's what I hear is how people enjoy Doctor Strange the most, is when he's almost like trippy and weird and an attitude like that. So I think the only other thing he says on it is we should be hearing casting pretty soon. So
yay, Comic-Con.
Small little piece of news here from Kevin Feige. Marvel now owns the rights to Namor again, sort of. Basically, it's an interview with IGN, and they ask him, and he basically confirms Legendary are no longer the ones who'd be able to create a movie at this point. And they're like, oh, so Marvel could create one? And he's like,
yeah, no.
Kind of. He's like, yes, but it's slightly more complicated than that. There are entanglements that make it less easy. Basically, there are older contracts that still involve other parties that we need to work out before we can move forward. So...
the movie's not sunk yet.
Yes, there's still the potential of a Namor movie for the 3 people out there who are just like, I can't fucking wait for Namor.
You gotta admit, the moment that Marvel Studios says we're making a Namor movie, you're like, okay, let's do this.
I'll be excited for it, though. I still maintain that's going to be one of the hardest sells in the world to me. Because even like all the other characters, like even more than the Inhumans, I can't fathom giving them, like, I know he predates Aquaman, but I can't look at Namor without being like, that's just the fucking Marvel equivalent of Aquaman. He's the lame counterpart of an already lame character.
He's lame squared.
And then when you hear about him, everyone's like, no, he's totally different from Aquaman. He's a douche. Like, that's the only thing they ever say when they describe Namor. Like, he's such an asshole. Like, what a great character, then.
Yay.
But there you go. But for a movie that is also not going to be happening, Kevin Feige, in another fucking interview with IGN, confirms there is no Planet Hulk movie in the works.
My favorite response to that was somebody asking James Gunn about that.
Yes. And he's like...
it's bullshit!
He's like, it's complete fucking bullshit. And I love the reasoning that Kevin Feige states. He's like, the biggest reason we're not going to do a Planet Hulk movie is because there's no fucking Bruce Banner in Planet Hulk. We want to see a Mark Ruffalo-led Hulk movie. And there's no Bruce Banner in Planet Hulk. It's all Hulk on the planet as a gladiator.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do a movie like that because it's just not what we're looking for. He's not rolling out doing a Hulk movie or even a Hulk movie in space. He's like, we're just not doing that storyline. And he also notes at the end of this that the reason that there wasn't a Hulk movie after Avengers is it was a business decision. They said, we want to save something that people can't see, after seeing Avengers, that they can't see until the next Avengers. So, if people get left Avengers being like, I fucking love Iron Man, they're like, well, they can just go see Iron Man 3 after that, or they can go see Winter Soldier for Captain America. But we wanted Hulk to be something that they'd have to wait until the next Avengers to see. And then, after Age of Ultron, we'll kind of see where the character goes from there.
Yep.
So
next, I'm getting Feige fatigued here.
Well, if it helps, the next two are very short ones.
Yay.
Kevin Feige talked a little bit. Just guess who we talked to.
Was it IGN?
It's IGN.com.
It's almost like they had one big interview with him and chopped it up into various articles.
It's fucking infuriating, isn't it? He talked a bit about Avengers Tower and the Hulkbuster armor. Basically, he talks about Avengers Age of Ultron and confirms there is going to be a Quinjet in the movie, so yay! But one thing he knows is that there was that concept art we've seen for a long time of the Hulk fighting against the Hulkbuster Iron Man costume, or suit. And he notes that concept art has been one of the constants when they've been writing and rewriting the Avengers script. They're like, these 7 scenes and this Hulkbuster scenes among them are just fucking so awesome that I don't care what the fuck you do with the rest of the script. Just make sure these scenes stay in it no matter what.
It's just the other scenes are just them sitting there farting.
Yeah, like it's all of them at that party fucking farting and eating food, and then all of a sudden Hulk's just like, I have to change, and the Hulkbuster.
I cracked my pants.
He's like, I dropped a pistachio. Turns into the Hulk, so the Hulkbuster suit comes out and they just fight. I'd fucking watch that.
Yeah, I would too.
But then also, we do note that Avengers 2 is going to take place throughout UK, Italy, and South Africa, which I think is cool because the Avengers should be a global presence. So it's cool to see that this movie is taking place somewhere outside of, hey, New York got blown up again.
The only thing that usually happens, the thing that sticks with me with Ultron is usually Ultron attacks the U.S. first. And then once he wins in the U.S., he starts to branch out. There was some in the animated movie Next Avengers when he actually wins and killed all the Avengers, save for Tony Stark, Hawkeye, and Bruce Banner. He only took over the U.S. and just was like, I'm going to get you, rest of the countries. And they're like, please don't.
Please go away.
Yeah.
Bring in the Mexican Avengers.
No, he took over like all of the Americas.
Oh, all right. Bring in the Belgium Avengers.
Bring in Captain Britain.
Oh, poor Captain Britain.
Yeah, exactly.
And finally, last little piece here, last Kevin Feige stuff. He has an interview with IGN because they fucking did this.
It's the same interview.
I'm sure it is. They just asked him 1,000 questions and cut it up into each thing that'd be kind of interesting.
So they could get thousands of page views instead of just 1,000 of page views.
Those clever girls. Anyway, this one's about Marvel's Quicksilver and how it'll be different from Days of Future Past Quicksilver.
There'll be more of them.
There'll be more of him. He notes, he's like, look, there's going to be a similarity in the fact that, yeah, there's going to be some time slowdown effects like what you saw in Days of Future Past, but that's kind of hard to avoid if the character with super speed. That's how you portray his power with time slowing down. But he notes that this is going to be a completely different character personality-wise. There's going to be a big emphasis on his relationship with Wanda, and his origin as an Eastern European child of a war-torn country is going to be very important and pivotal to the character. So we are going to be getting a very different Quicksilver. He's going to have an accent, it sounds like.
Yeah, they already said that both him and Wanda are going to have Eastern European accents because that's where they're from. I'm like, okay, whatever.
All right. That's all my Kevin Feige stuff.
Oh, thank God. Can we get to the awesome things now?
Yes, because we just talked a little bit about Avengers Age of Ultron. And this past week, holy shit, we got our first look at Age of Ultron, including Ultron himself.
And he looks like Ultron, and he looks fucking awesome.
He does look very fucking cool. If you guys want to check these out and you haven't, it's from the EW.com released it. They have 8 photos from the set of Age of Ultron. So, you get to see, Cap's new suit, the Iron Man new suit. You get to kind of see all these people. Black Widow has a new suit that kind of looks cooler. Hawkeye has like a new long coat and everything like that. Don Cheadle, you see in one of the shots, so you can tell.
I have to mention IGN again with this. They
Okay.
read an article like, "Hey guys, did you see that he's in one of the pictures?" And everyone's like, "Yes, we fucking saw it, IGN."
No, I'm not fucking blind.
It was really funny. It's like, "Can you guess who's gonna be in Age of Ultron?" And they had that picture, and everyone's like, "Fucking really?"
They're just like, really? Did you think do you think we're all racist and we just wiped the one black person out of the photos, or what?
It was absolutely like I
Do you
always
think I missed him?
I always love reading the comments because IGN's comics are like just fucking horror shows. And it was just all of them were like, fucking duh. It
They're
was
like-
amazing. They're like, good job at page clicks, idiots.
And he
then they all
wasn't
got-
hiding. It's not like he's like peeking around the corner. He's in the fucking shot.
He's like,
Hell, in the goddamn fucking description for it, Steve Rogers, Clint Barton, Tony Stark, and Colonel James Rhodes. They're not trying to hide that he's in the photo.
I know, it's hilarious. It was one of my favorite articles. Like that during this whole slot, which is like, and the thing is, they tweeted that one article like 5 times.
Like, you'd never guess who's in Age of Ultron. I'm like, I swear to God, if it's Don Cheadle this time, Don Cheadle, like, you motherfuckers!
Again.
I really like what we're seeing with Scarlet Witch, by the way. I
Mhm.
like her outfit a lot. I
Yes.
really dig the aesthetic they're going for it. I know some people aren't crazy excited about Quicksilver's right now because it kind of just looks unimpressive, but I'm waiting to see what it's going to look like with the effects on it, and I think that'll kind of sell it for me.
But let's
the
get back
creme
to Ultron.
The creme de la creme. On the cover for Entertainment Magazine, it's Captain America, Tony Stark, and our first look at Ultron
Oh
himself.
my god.
I'm just gonna let you fanboy for a couple minutes.
As I have said multiple times, Ultron is my favorite villain, Avengers tier villain. Chris, you've discovered an appreciation of him too after watching the TV show of how awesome Ultron is.
Ultron's fucking bamf.
He is an amazing character, and there's some really fun little subtle things that are in that picture, specifically the eyes. Because you see that the big hero shot of Ultron, which I'm probably going to guess is going to be 6, probably, or like 5 or something like that. And all the ones in the background have blue eyes, because those are supposed to be like his army, and the one with the red eyes is the one who's the mastermind. And I absolutely love every single bit in that little like blurb of Joss Whedon saying, "Yeah, Ultron's insane.
Yeah.
He likes to murder."
He's got like this great personality to him that's like this almost poetically corrupted individual, and it's almost more of a philosophical battle in some ways, and Ultron looks fucking cool here.
They really did a great job with him, and I am super pumped to see how they're going to be rocking the Ultron on this one, mainly because it sounds like they're kind of going with some of the comic angles of him, where he's more along the lines of he wants to replace his creator.
Mhm.
He, like in the comics, he wanted to be Pym. He's like, I am going to replace him in every aspect of your life, and then kill you, and then destroy
Murder the
everything,
shit out of your family,
and then kill everybody else. And so I am very pumped to see them probably go down that road, and this being the downfall of Tony Stark, because that's what this is going to end up being.
I'll have even more to say about that later on, because this feels like the right downturn for Tony Stark.
It's like this is the knocking down a few pegs that his character kind of needs.
Yeah, but it's not the turning evil thing that so many people want him to do, and I'm just like,
this is not Civil War.
Are you crazy? Why the fuck would Marvel turn the most profitable aspect of their film franchise into the biggest asshole for no reason?
We're not doing the Civil War. That's not happening right now.
That is, Tony Stark wouldn't even make sense in that Civil War.
No. The only way, like, the road to that would be this would be the start of it.
Yeah.
And that's if they're going to go down that road. But no, they don't have enough heroes right now for even close to doing Civil
Steve
War.
Rogers' identity is well known. Thor doesn't have an alter ego. Black Widow, I guess, technically can have hers, and Clint, but I mean,
There's not enough heroes.
Yeah, there's just there's not enough people for it to be an issue.
Almost
So
every single person that's currently the Avengers team is a known person.
yeah. So yeah, there's not really anything they kind of have to hide on that end. So Civil War is not going to work. But this being a story of Tony Stark's hubris finally really paying it back to him, and I think this is more of a also of the Avengers themselves kind of falling from grace because they were the big heroes in the first one because they stopped that invasion. Ultron's going to fuck shit up, and this is their mess.
Yes.
So this is probably going to lead to a point where, now the government has to start looking at these people like, maybe we don't want you around.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting way this stuff is going to play out. I am really looking forward to Endgame on this. This could also be like Hydra being like, see?
Yeah, we have a point. Come on, guys. Let's maybe we were Nazis at one point. We didn't make Ultron.
Yeah, we did make a mass murdering robot that could self-replicate.
There's also some. I don't have it with me. There were some interviews about Vision and how he's going to play into this, and how Vision, it's very deliberate that Paul Bettany's playing him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the theory right now, Jarvis turns into him or something along those lines.
Well, Vision was originally because I actually decided to do some Ultron research last night because I started looking up. I was reading the Infinity Gauntlet. I actually read that whole arc, and my God, that has aged weirdly. And I started bumping into things like, Vision is actually built on Ultron tech.
Yeah.
In the comics. And if memory serves, Vision is based off of, because the way that Ultron's mind works, he's based on, in the comics, Pym's brain. In this one, he's probably based on Tony's brain, which is why he's going to be psychotic. And what happened is Ultron decided to build his own robot, which was the Vision, and then the Vision turned out to not be psychotic.
Okay, so, and it makes sense if he's pulling it from Tony that it'd be based off of Jarvis then.
Yes.
So, I think it's going to be very cool to see that kind of play into effect and how exactly, because it sounds like, I thought like the way it was going to open up is that, the Miracle Twins or whatever we're going to fucking call them, we're going to be like good right off the bat, but that doesn't sound like it's necessarily going to be the case.
It sounds like the first act is going to be Strucker and Quicksilver Scarlet Witch doing shit, and that's it's gonna be the impetus for them saying we can't be on the clock all the time. We need to have something to take care of it, so that's why he builds Ultron.
I'm so excited for this movie,
and it really is like, as much as I'm like excited for everything else, I'm just excited for Ultron the most.
To finally get your look at him, I want to hear him talk. That's what I'm super excited about right now.
I really cannot wait to hear him just completely murder it. And I love the fact that the way he describes Ultron is that he's like the antithesis to what we perceive robots to be. Where he's highly emotional, erratic, not logical at all.
Do you mean antithesis?
I said antithesis.
Yes.
It still works. Ish.
If you're gonna make fun of me for Comic-Con, I got a point on antithesis.
Antithesis is also correct, but I like saying antithesis because I like saying antithesis.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I know antithesis is the correct way of saying it, but I like saying antithesis. So get off my balls.
I want to get on your balls as much as I want.
Weird. But no, I am super pumped for Ultron. I can't be more pumped for Ultron. Oh wait, I can, because I still haven't heard him talk, move, or seen any. I haven't seen anything else other than a cover shot with a really badly photoshopped Robert Downey Jr. head.
Oh yeah, you could tell that was just like, we're just gonna paste that right on. At least it's not as bad as the First Class Photoshop, where everyone's head was like the size of half their torso.
Yes, that was hilarious. But the one thing we didn't touch on was how awesome Cap's suit is.
I love his suit. I think it looks cool. Like, I had a problem with the first suit from the Avengers because it just didn't have a lot of definition to it and it looked really cheesy. And it was cool to see, hey, that's fucking Captain America's suit lifted from the comics right in the movie world. But it just, my cat wants in the room right now really bad. He wants to talk about Ultron as well. He's a huge fan. But it just lacked that, that Kevlar kind of look, that soldier look that he had during the first Avenger and now that he's had in Winter Soldier. But this one changes it. It has that look. It makes him look big, strong. My brother had a good way of describing it. He's like, the first movie, because of that suit, if you compared him and Robert Downey Jr. side by side, you'd be like, oh yeah, these guys have like the exact same physique. Like they just look about the same, size. And Captain America should be like, fuck that. I'm changing that next time. Everyone needs to know I'm fucking bigger than you are.
Yeah. My headcanon on the whole thing is just I'm just seeing Coulson like knitting it, like stitching it together because he said, "Oh, I made it." Yeah, because he actually does say that he actually made the costume for Cap in the movies.
Yeah.
So I'm just imagining he's like, "It's gonna be awesome," and then Cap's like, "Oh God, I have to wear this shit."
Fuck.
Damn it.
All right. Maybe if I blow it up, here I set it on fire, they'll have to make me a new one now.
Oh, Coulson died.
Oh, phew. Let's get rid of this.
Yup, that's why.
Give me my new shield dark blue, and there we go.
Boom. Yeah, but I that's how I always just imagine just Coulson sitting there like in front of a sewing machine, sewing it together.
Mm. Yeah. And the new one has the little Avengers logo on the side.
It does.
I think
Probably because Tony makes everyone have it, probably.
Yeah, well,
Branding. It's all about branding.
It is. Well, I don't think Thor has one.
There's probably gonna be a scene where he's gonna try to make Thor have one, and Thor's gonna just stare at him.
Yeah, he's like, "Why don't you wear this on your fucking cape?" And he's just like, "Vanity, fuck yourself, Stark."
Flies off.
But I do like the Black Widow suit too. It just looks kind of like there's more padding to it. It's less like, "Hey, I'm skin tight." Like
I'm Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, and it's like, "Oh, hey, this actually looks more battle practical."
Yes.
So
okay, let's do the final things here, the biggies.
Okay, well, this is a short little one here. But David Hoyter talked to LatinoReview.com, did an interview with them, and he talks about how he's currently reigniting his Black Widow screenplay and trying to bring it to Marvel. He apparently had one about 10 years ago when he was actually set to direct it, but that was kind of at that time where those female action movies just all kind of failed, like our Electras and sort like that, so the movie was scrapped. But now he's talking to Marvel about reigniting the project. Whether or not it happens is up to Marvel right now, and whether or not they want to do it. But he says, as far as I know, it's not a project that's happening, but I have a script written for it. And I feel this is what I'm doing because we've kind of heard for a while that, Marvel's playing with the idea of, hey, maybe we'll do a Black Widow movie. But I don't think on this show, have we ever really talked about it?
No. We touched on that we made the jokes like we'll probably get a Black Widow movie before we get a Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah. I would actually be all for a Black Widow movie.
I would too.
I wouldn't have been for it until Winter Soldier, but seeing her in Winter Soldier, I'm like, no, I would absolutely watch a movie that was just her.
Her and probably Hawkeye.
Yeah, put Hawkeye in it,
because we need more Jeremy Renner. Come on.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't hurt. Like my main concern would just be I don't know who her villain would be because I don't know if she has a rogues gallery. But you can just invent someone at this point.
You can no, you don't have to. A Shield villain. You could take a Hydra villain.
Mm-hmm. Madame Hydra or something like that.
Yeah, or hell, there's plenty of higher tiers that you can actually have in the Hydra thing, and just have it be like the quote because we were talking a very long time ago about a quote unquote Shield movie. Mm-hmm. And since this would probably be that of their adventures, or hell, it could be a flashback to some of the stuff that they talk about jokingly, like their adventures back in the day.
Yeah, I mean we've always heard of like the Istanbul that they mentioned in the Avengers. Yeah. It could be a prequel movie to that. I'd almost want to see a sequel though, just because I feel like the prequel movie could be cool, but I don't know. Prequels always are weird to me, especially when it's this close to the actual events, because I'm just like, I know how things are going to end up because you have to end up at a certain place.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I would all be for a Black Widow movie, 100% at this point.
But yeah,
if Scarlett Johansson's in it, 100% I'd be for.
Just have them taking down Hydra. Boom.
Yeah, I think it'd be definitely something to be. And you've got so many movies in this Phase 3 lineup. If Avengers 3 is going to be May 3rd, 2019. You have so many movies in there.
You better make one of the Black Widow.
Yeah, one of them should fucking be a Black Widow movie. I started I put everything. I put Inhumans, Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I still had room for a fucking Black Widow ? You have room for one.
So I got a fun little thing. I was driving home. I was thinking oh, Guardians 2. It's like they can't call it that. They don't put twos in them anymore. Guardians 2 should be called Guardians of the Galaxy: The Thanos Imperative.
It would be cool, though. Thanos' imperative doesn't require him to die.
No.
Okay.
Does Age of Ultron require time travel?
No, but wasn't the Age of Ultron comic book
And about time travel.
Okay, I thought it was great. Oh, no, I guess you're right. You're right. You could call it Thanos imperative, because one had to be about what the actual book was.
Yeah, they just thought it was a cool name and like, oh.
Yeah, no, that is right. Yeah, that could be it could be tight.
Yeah, you could have some of the bones of that idea in there, but you don't have to have it about murdering the shit out of Thanos.
That would be cool. It just don't put Drax in that stupid fucking costume from that book.
Yeah,
'Cause for real, that thing was fucking ridiculous. He was like fucking like Drac of fucking Loxley. I don't know why he was dressed in like weird Peter or fucking Robin Hood cloaks and shit like that.
Okay, so let's get to the biggies. The two biggies.
Okay.
Three biggies, probably, I think.
Well, the last thing I have here is the shakeups to the Marvel Comics universe.
Okay.
So
before we get into this,
okay,
we have to say something very specific here.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, we do not know everything.
Yes.
This is very important to be stating this. There's a lot of conjecture in here. We're going to try to stick to the cold hard facts on this, because that's important. Mm-hmm. But, calm your tits, internet.
Calm your tits.
Seriously. One of my favorite things I do on the side, well, it's not really a side thing, it's just something I like to participating in, is YouTube Reacts.
Mm-hmm.
And we just did one, I said a line, about the first thing we're going to be talking about. And oh my God, are people horrible.
I have a lot to say on this because the reactions people having are fucking ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. So, we're getting into Thor.
On Tuesday of last week, Marvel Studios went on to The View to debut a new comic book line. And that new comic book line is the new Thor book. I think it's keeping the same name, Thor, the Lightning God or the Thunder God or whatever.
I think one of the rumor mills is maybe Goddess of Thunder.
Yeah, they might change it a little bit, but they announced that the Thor that we know is going to be made unworthy of his power, of the ability to wield Mjolnir, and a new character is coming to pick it up, and this new person happens to be a woman. So Thor is now going to be a woman in the comics. And the quote that's kind of attached to this that everyone likes is from Ryan Penagos at H&M on Twitter. This is not She-Thor. This is not Lady Thor. This is not Thorita. This is Thor.
Now, remember how we just said Thor is being deemed unworthy.
Mm-hmm.
He is still going to be around.
He's still going to exist. He's going to exist in that comic book line and be a warrior. He, I guess, in the recent comic book line, created an axe of some kind.
Yes.
And that's just going to be his new weapon now.
Yes.
He's still going to fight. He's still going to be a character. Maybe he'll be an anti-hero. Maybe he'll be a supporting character.
Well, they've said very specifically, the results, what's going to happen to Original Sin is going to be the reason that he's unworthy.
Yeah.
So, there we go. Now, everyone's saying, why don't you make a new character? They are. Mm-hmm. This is a new character. Some of the things going on is that they've said in other interviews, because I've been keeping up with this because I hate myself, and I have to keep reading these horrible things that people say, is that they've alluded to that this is going to be a character that we have seen before, that is going to be taking up the hammer.
Mm-hmm. It's someone presumably within Thor's life, one of the women in it, but we don't know who yet.
Yes, we have no idea who it is. It could be Sif. That would be kind of interesting.
It could be fucking Jane. What's her name?
It's not going to be Foster.
Jane. It could be though. That's the thing. It could be.
It could
be anyone.
The other rumor is going around that he has a granddaughter. Mm-hmm. That it's going to be her.
Could be her. Isn't there also like what's her name? Valkyrie?
Valkyrie, that's also in there too. There's many people it could be. They're not just saying, oh, here's a person that's just showing up off the street, now they're Thor. Mm-hmm. And then everyone's like, well, why are you calling it Thor? Because they want to sell comic books?
Yeah. Because it's still fucking Thor. Thor is a goddamn character name, the same as Captain America or Iron Man. Just because there are certain characters who the person themselves haven't changed doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the person who is Thor Odinson, yes, that is the same name. But honestly, when you look at this image they have of her, She's put on a mask. She has that helmet, has a mask that comes down. She has the hammer. That's the iconic thing. That's Thor. It may not be the same person you know, maybe because Thor isn't someone who constantly has his identity changed like Captain America
Or he
does.
was a frog, or he was
Yeah,
an alien horse for a little while.
yeah. I mean, you just have to recognize this is Thor. This is going to be Thor. And I mention this story almost every time I bring up the Thor: The Dark World. But when I saw Thor: The Dark World, it was a packed theater, and I sat next to a girl who had to be no older than I think like 8, and she watched Thor: The Dark World, and she was so excited. She fucking loved that movie. She was getting along with all the action. She was super behind it. And then this news comes out, and everybody's angry. They're like, "Fucking, why are you doing this? You're just pandering to people, or all that stuff." I'm so excited that a book like this exists because whether or not that girl ever goes into a comic book store and picks it up is arbitrary. It's not really necessarily the importance. It's that if she does go in there, she does see Thor. She can see that same character she liked in that movie, but now she can see herself in that character.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are going to say, "Hey, man, this is just them pandering. It's such an attempt to kind of sell diversity, essentially." And you know, my response is the idea that they're just doing this to make sales. I will take an insincere extension of diversity than a genuine extension of apathy any fucking day of the week.
Yes.
If this is just there to sell comics, I'm fine with it because it's something different. They're trying something else, and they're giving us a chance to have people who wouldn't normally be into comics take a look at this and be like, "Hey, maybe this isn't such a weird thing. Maybe we shouldn't ostracize people so much for this." They debuted this on the fucking View because they want people out there, particularly moms, to look at this character, this comic book, and say, "Hey, maybe this isn't such a weird thing anymore, and maybe I can let my daughter get into this."
Yeah.
I think that's fucking awesome.
And it is really sad that this awful thing that everyone's just complaining about still exists. It's horribly disheartening to me.
I mean,
Seeing diatribes.
yeah, we don't know how this book's going to be.
No.
The
Only thing we know, Thor's unworthy. A female picks up the hammer, she is now Thor. Boom.
Yeah, it's going to be written by the same person who's been doing the last Thor run, which from what I understand is a pretty cool guy. He's really good at writing. So hopefully the book's going to be good. If it's not, that sucks. If it's great, that's awesome. But looking at the base value of it, Thor is now a woman, and being pissed about that is fucking mind-blowing to me. Because the next piece of news we have here is that there was a big shakeup with the big three within Marvel. All of them are getting new comic book lines and a new direction in their story. The second part of that was that Captain America news was announced on the Colbert Report that Wednesday that Falcon is taking over the role of Captain America.
Because Steve Rogers' super soldier serum is failing and he's now aging.
Yes. So Falcon's going to be taking over that role, and basically we're getting another black Captain America. I say another because I believe one of those ones from like the span of the 50s or whatever was black.
I think they said the very first Captain America was black.
Yeah, so there's like another black one out there, but people are upset because they're just like, it's black Captain America and it's female Thor. Why are you changing his characters? These characters are not within their infancy. These are characters who have existed for 50 years. And people are going to be upset that they're ending those stories to try something different with someone else. That's the baffling thing to me.
And it's not like we've had a Cap shakeup recently.
Yeah.
Motherfucker died.
He was fucking, that was what, like 4 years ago? He got that shield on the Colbert Report when he died.
Yes.
And what, Bucky took over the role for a little bit.
Bucky took over the role, and everyone's like, well, why doesn't Bucky take it back over? Because I believe currently in the comics, Bucky's in hiding. Mm-hmm. He faked his death so that people weren't after him anymore.
Yeah. He's got some dark shit going on.
Yeah, he's still dealing with Winter Soldier shit.
I mean, this is, to me, simple stuff. Like, just wait and see how these books are. I really hope they're good. But if not, I just applaud Marvel for going out there and saying, hey, let's make different heroes that different people can look at and say, hey, I see myself in them. One of the most popular books right now is fucking Miss Marvel, where they said, hey, let's take that character, let's make it a Muslim, a Middle Eastern girl. And people are loving it. A lot of people can see themselves in this character who couldn't see themselves there before.
The only complaint about Falcon taking over that I can kind of agree with,
Oh, that costume's dumb as shit.
no, not the costume.
Oh, okay.
I
'Cause
like the
that
fact he
fucking
still has his wings. I actually like that.
the wings are fine. Those fucking goggles need to go.
Well, they're part of his character.
I know, but those look as stupid as shit.
But the only thing is like, how is he gonna? He has no training with the shield. He doesn't have super soldier serum. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, that'll probably be played out in the comics, and it'll be like a couple issues of him trading. That's the only thing I'm a little concerned about is the logistics of it, not the fact that it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, and that gets into the narrative.
Yeah, that's
story.
narrative. I'm like, that's
So-
the thing is like, I wonder how they're gonna play it out, and I'm interested in how they're gonna play it out.
Mhm. Now the third
One's simple. Whatever. That's
the third one is Superior Spider-Man or Superior Iron Man, where Tony Stark's going to San Francisco apparently, and he's going to be an asshole. Is basically the crux of the story from what they're explaining. It's going to be like the Superior Spider-Man, where he's like, I'm going to be a superior Iron Man and be an asshole who's hard to root for. And people are wondering, they're like, hey, these changes are happening in the books. Are they going to happen in the movies?
No.
No. But
It's a simple answer. No.
But if they did do something like this where they're like, hey, fucking Chris Hemsworth wants out of his Thor contract, and Jamie Alexander's like, all right, I'll fucking pick up the hammer and become Thor, I'm all for it.
See, yeah, I agree with that, but no, it's not going to happen in the movies for one reason. We're still getting used to the movies, and they don't like to, and they're two separate departments.
It's two separate, and the movies are never going to follow the lead of the comics. It's always going to be vice versa. Movies make millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars in their first week open. Comic books sell maybe a couple tens of thousands of books.
Yeah.
You're never gonna base your high marketing thing off of something that makes you substantially less money. But this all brings us to
people being stupid.
A lot of people being stupid, but also this Avengers Now title where they announced the new lineup.
Was awesome.
It's a new team now. We got our new female Thor, our Falcon Captain America, and our
dickhead
white suit, apple suit Tony Stark in the middle there. And then we've got Scarlet Witch. We got Doctor Strange and Ant-Man in there. I don't know which Ant-Man it is. I think it's Scott Lang, though.
Or it's the third one, actually, I think.
Eric O'Grady or something like that.
Probably, yeah.
We got a Deathclock in there.
Clock, not Clock. That's a band.
Sorry. Whatever. Deathlock. The Black Widow.
There's some black metal in this.
I wants to be in the superhero story.
You gotta admit how metal that would be. All of a sudden, like Deathclock
would be
shows
great. Just Deathclocks in Avengers as well.
That'd be awesome. In forever.
But it's a Black Deathlock like in the show, right? I don't think Deathlock's normally African American, is he?
He's been like 8 different people, so.
Okay, I assume because it was based off the Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. one I didn't know. There's also what the fuck is her name? Like Elizabeth or something?
You're digging into characters I don't know about.
Yeah, apparently that's a girl who existed originally in Spawn. Like that's where she came from, and then they just
that's
attached
a wonderful place to come from.
They just attached her to Thor, and that's where the universe she exists in. Winter Soldier's in there as well, and then Medusa, and as we said, Fire Motherfucker Dude.
That person.
Yeah, that guy's in there too. It's an interesting team though, and you can note that there's a lot of reflection in that team into what we're getting on the docket for Marvel movies.
It's one of those things where they like to make sure that books are. I think they actually specifically talk about this. They try to make sure that there's books out when these movies are coming out, so that people are like, "Oh, I want to read up on these people," so they don't go to their local comic book store and go, "Oh, I just saw Doctor Strange. I'm gonna go get a Doctor Strange book," and there's none of them.
Yeah, they're just like, "Oh shit! Well, Doctor Strange hasn't been in an event comic for a couple months, so let me give you this book that from 6 months ago. That's not gonna fucking. Yeah. It's gonna be confusing as shit for you." And like, no, here he is in Avengers. We know there's a Doctor Strange movie and Ant-Man movie. They put them in there. Deathlock's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. It's gonna be hard. I want to call him Deathclock because it's fucking almost spelled the same too. There's no A in Deathlock either.
And it just ends with the K, like the hard K.
It's fucking confusing. There's Deathlock is in the Agents of Shield show, so they're gonna put him in there. Winter Soldier's been in the movie. Scarlet Witch is gonna be an agent. Liam, goddamn, recording a podcast. She's in there, but that's why it's interesting they put 2 members of the Immortals in there, or the Inhumans, because it almost feels like, I mean, maybe that might just be them rounding out the team. Like you, I know fucking nothing about the Inhumans. And maybe someone will have to read up on soon.
Yeah,
but interesting.
I don't dig into that.
Interesting that they're in there. The thing that I found the most interesting about this, though, is rather who's not there, and that's Black Panther.
Yep.
I thought Black Panther would be in here because, like Ant-Man and Doctor Strange, he's got a movie presumably coming out, but maybe that's not one that they're working on. Or maybe the fact that at earliest that movie's coming out in 2017, they're just like, fuck it, we'll just add him to the team later.
Or we're going to see how this team plays out.
Yeah, so that's the team, though. I mean, it seems like interesting. A little too much red on the team. I'm a color guy, and I feel like someone needs to change their colors to green. Like the Verdant Witch or something. I don't know.
I don't know if you can really... I don't think she'd be down for it. She'll probably just make everybody believe that she's always been green.
Yeah.
But she's actually wearing red.
It was just like, you fucking bitch. God damn it, Wanda.
Damn it. Again.
Why can't the fire guy be green fire?
Because he's not.
I still want... What the
Gasoline?
fuck is his name? I have to look this guy's name up now because it's going to
Gasoline
bother me.
Fire? I think gasoline.
Isn't blue the hottest fire?
Well, different accelerants cause different colors.
Ah, okay. Oh my god, Liam. What an awful cat.
Where?
Oh, what the fuck is his name? Inferno. What a fucking lame name for a fire guy.
That sounds like a 3rd-tier Mega Man fire villain.
That's fucking
Inferno,
so
man.
basic and boring. I'm Inferno. Like, my fucking shit you are. God, hold on. I'm gonna have to beat this cat up. I mean, pet him. Because I'm a superhero just like that. Enormous cat.
I have to leave this in now.
I fucking hate this cat. Anyway, yeah, that's what I have in regards to Marvel news.
Ish.
Awkward. There is actually a little bit of non-Marvel news, though.
Okay.
Do you just like, this is too much? We gotta stop.
I'm like, is it big?
Yeah, this actually is kind of big.
Let's do it.
It has been announced for a while now that there's been a Shazam movie in the works. In DC.
Yeah, this one.
And we've known for a while that The Rock's going to have a role in DC movies. We just don't know what. All he said was that it's a badass and who's never been done on film before. And recently in an interview doing press for that god-awful looking Hercules movie, he was asked who he's going to play, and he gave out 2 hints that the guy's as strong as Superman and just say the word. And that's him being coy, but we all know now he's playing fucking Shazam.
The one problem is, is he gonna be playing the small version too?
I joked that I would only watch it if he plays both parts, and when he's Billy Batson, he's just wearing like a beanie and like a pair of overalls and a giant like novelty-sized lollipop, but still acts like The Rock, still 6'5" and shit.
It looks like he eats steroids for breakfast.
Yeah, like everyone still treats him like the same. Like they still treat him like a child, even though he's much taller than all of them. Like, Billy, god damn it, you're not supposed to kick cans in the house. Go to your room. And he's just like,
man,
stop.
You're not my real dad.
Yeah, you're not my real dad. And all of his stomps leave holes in the ground.
I hate to say it. It's just one of those things that I'm just not excited.
It's weird because it's that inverse to what you normally have with Marvel, where you're just like, oh, that sounds fucking perfect. That sounds so right. Like, I have to kind of stop and start trying to rationalize in my mind, because I'm like, The Rock's a really good actor.
Yes.
And I like him a lot. I think he can pull it off. It's just not the first person I think of when I think Shazam.
I actually have no idea who would have The Rock play in either side.
I would Lobo, when I heard that.
Yeah, Lobo's not a bad idea.
I hear that and I'm like, I could easily.
But Lobo is just... It's like saying, let's do Deadpool.
Yeah. Well, also people have suggested Black Adam.
Black Adam's not a bad idea either.
Yeah, but he's playing Shazam instead. He's the good guy now.
I mean, I would rather him play a character with depth than here's the guy that I'm playing that's just gonna punch people in the face.
Well, it remains to be seen exactly what kind of version of Shazam they're doing. Because of course, if it's just Shazam like he is in base version, who's just supposed to be this it's Superman without the baggage, essentially, is what he's supposed to be. That'd be fine, but we know this is DC and we know how they make their movies recently, so he'll probably be absurdly dark and depressing.
And destroying buildings left and right.
Yeah. So I feel like this is someone who could be good, but and I like The Rock a lot.
It's just the fact that DC, I don't have faith. Like,
yeah,
I have faith
I need
in
to be
Marvel.
Proven differently.
I need to not have a movie as bad as Man of Steel come out.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really help that all the pictures from this movie so far, the official ones, have all been dark.
Yeah, everything is with a very dark tint to it. Well, because they don't want superheroes to be fun.
No, we can't have superheroes be colorful either. They all have to be dark colors.
They want to be muted dark colors nobody likes.
I also did kind of rub the bridge of my nose when I read the fact that they're like, oh, this Batman's going to be like later into his career and more like this. And I'm like, oh, God, you're not. Please, for the love of God, tell me you're not doing the Frank Miller Batman. For the love of God, no.
Well, it's going to be based off of The Dark Knight Rises, so there's going to be Miller.
He Returns?
Yeah, Dark Knight Returns, sorry. Okay. There's going to be...
His suit is based off of that model, but yeah.
But that's also where the story is based off of
as well. Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, that was what they announced at the first Comic-Con.
So, hey, everybody, I'm now officially done with Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice because, fuck.
It's not going to be that story, but it's definitely inspired by it.
Exactly.
That's the quote they used when they were introducing the movie at Comic-Con back a couple years back.
Have you read that book?
I have not.
That is the Batman who will break people's spines.
It's the only thing I know of it is Kevin Smith talks about it like it's the Bible.
That is the most sane that Frank Miller has been, is writing that book in Soma Sin City. But this is still the Batman who has no problems with paralyzing people to get information.
Yeah, which is weird. But
it's supposed to be a man who stopped being it because he had to go too far, and he has to come back to stop like a nuke. So he's just done.
And he does that insane long fight with Superman where he cheats essentially and still almost loses. But everyone's just like, that proves Batman beat Superman.
Still like fucking 80.
Yeah.
In that fight. But no, I mean, crazy Frank Miller Batman is one of my least favorite Batman. I mean, it's just, that is the wrong tone for Batman. Oh, yeah. Because he's supposed to, you cannot, okay. Mini rant about this. You cannot start a franchise about a character that people like with a man who stops caring.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. He's supposed to, they're saying, oh, he's later on in his career. The Dark Knight Returns is him at the end of his career. Is when he's done.
Yeah.
Is when he's given up because he's lost too many Robins. He's seen too many dead children, is why he stops.
And that's a pretty big bummer.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, fucking seriously. That's why, like, right now, the moment you said, oh yeah, they're basing that Batman off of The Dark Knight Returns, it's like, done. I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, you can look it up. I think that was the quote that initially revealed it at Comic-Con, was a direct quote from The Dark Knight Returns.
I actually had to read that book in high school.
You had to?
It was actually a class.
Wow, really?
I had a really my senior year.
That sounds a fucking awesome class.
My senior year, I did have 2 English classes on the same day in senior year, which was The Message of Film, which was my film class I took, and Fantastic Literature, which was about fantasy in literature.
That sounds all. I had to read fucking Great Expectations.
I had to read that too, but this was my senior year where we had like 8.
Great Expectations sucked.
Dude, for 1 year I read Gone with the Wind, so you could suck my dick.
Well, okay.
I win that literacy battle. But we had to. The actual assignment was we had to compare and contrast The Dark Knight Returns with Unbreakable, which was about a man at the beginning of his career learning about what he does, and a man at the end of his career, and it had to deal with vigilante heroes and how they differ. And I don't mind The Dark Knight Returns in a vacuum.
Yeah.
It is an interesting book about a man at the end of his career and when a man stops caring about rules. The only rule he still follows is it doesn't kill. But other than that, he doesn't care. He's just like, oh, I'll just break this guy's leg because that's what I need to do to get this information. I mean, the closest that we get is in The Dark Knight Returns. Sorry, The Dark Knight, where he drops the guy off the roof, like the guy's legs. And that's about it. And that is a little far.
Yeah.
Where are they? But you know, like in the moment it works, but the problem is that we had to work up to that. That was a movie and a half to get to there. Whereas with this, it's like we're gonna be introduced to like a grizzled, not giving a fuck bats and just. Oof. I should make you read that book at some point.
I'll have to read it at some point. I wanted to read it initially because Kevin Smith, seriously, like it. I think he's literally referred to it as his Bible before.
There's one huge problem with the book is that unless you're really big into 80s politics, half the book is just going to go over your head.
Oh, really?
Because half the book is seriously just newscasters talking about Reagan.
That fucker.
I'm not joking. They're actually talking about Reagan politics in the book.
Reaganomics.
Yep, because it has to do with the fact that because the book was written in the 80s. So he took some, but the thing is, like, it's completely uninteresting art of just here's an entire page of just newscasters talking. The Dark Knight Returns, yeah.
Yay! Well, I mean, it's supposed to be a more cerebral book, right?
It is, but it's still crazy Frank Miller. Which, it's still better than really crazy Frank Miller. It's still better than All-Star Batman.
Oh, yeah. I've heard very bad stories about that one.
What, are you retarded or something?
I'm the goddamn Batman.
Oh, God. We're done. We're done because we have to be done because of how fucking long this has been going. Mainly because we've also kind of run out of things to talk about.
Yeah, well...
We don't really want to go into our normal padding at the end because...
Yeah, we don't want 30 minutes of us, like, goofing off.
No, talking about pizzas. But, no, we'll probably talk about bats at some point just because, I mean, that is a book that does need to be read because it's one of those interesting ways of looking at him. The only other book that I think there's two books that do a better job of getting to beside Batman's head, which are The Long Halloween and Arkham.
Okay.
And The Killing Joke. Also, but those are all big Joker books. But of course, the best mirror to Batman is looking into the Joker, because the Joker brings out Batman's psyche the best as a character. The only character that does it really well is Two-Face. And
Two-Face has always been one of the more interesting Batman villains to me.
And they really do a weird thing with him in Dark Knight Returns. I'm not a big fan of how they handle it. It's an interesting thing for a character, but actually the worst thing is actually the Joker. Where the Joker literally goes on an actual murder spree. Batman's like, well, I just gotta go take care of him, bro.
I gotta handle this.
Yeah. But, so... I'm just pissed now.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Do you know what's good?
We got Guardians.
Guardians next week. But next week...
No, week after.
The next show...
Yeah.
We'll have Comic-Con to talk about.
So, we should talk about how we're going to be handling this episode again, shouldn't we?
We may have to do it a little bit differently. I may have to actually switch up my schedule of shows that week because my normal Wednesday show might be moving to Tuesday for a week.
So, since Comic-Con is going to be a week-long thing with a lot of news, We are probably going to be. It's going to be a little disjointed of a podcast because we're going to try to record after every night if we can. That's if we can.
Yes.
And we're gonna stitch them together into. When I say we, I mean me. Stitch them together to.
I'll be there in moral support. Like, you go, Frogger.
You got it.
I love you.
Haha.
Oh, no, buddy. I believe in you. Oh.
But that's how we're gonna end up trying to do it. Is gonna stitch it together into one thing so that we can, talk about these things and not let things fall by the wayside. Because when you have a whole bunch of news happening day after day after day, like just happened, it
gets kind of big.
Yeah, so there's going to be a few days with really big stories, and we may have to wait a week to talk about the really big ones. But we're gonna learn some movie titles next week.
Oh yeah, we're gonna learn a lot from this. I'm really gonna be curious to see how this.
As long as the name Civil War does not pop up, I will be perfectly happy.
I don't think it will. Nobody has talked in studio about it. And I think there's a reason for that because they're just like, it wouldn't even.
I know what you're saying, but that's what I really want to happen, is for that to not be said.
That's true. That is true. But we'll find out next week.
We will. Sorry, I had to make hand noises and stuff. Foley.
Kaboom! I'll help with you. Ba-choo! Ba-choo!
So yes, so next week we'll have that, and I will probably do my thing where I'm going to be seeing Guardians at midnight on Thursday. So I will stitch on my tired, like, hey guys, I just got back from seeing Guardians.
I'll actually record that as well. I'll record my thoughts on Guardians afterwards.
Then you're going to have to fucking send that shit to me fast.
Yeah, well, I can. I mean, fuck. You should be on.
I will be, because I'm usually until 2 in the morning.
And I'll just leave my PC on to transfer it.
Okay, so you will be hearing from us then, and it's weird that we're talking about something that we're doing. No, actually, it won't be next week with Guardians, because Guardians doesn't come out next week.
So Guardians is the week after. We'll see that. So we'll have one more episode, and then we'll have our Guardians.
Thank God.
Can you imagine what it would be like if all of Comic-Con was one episode, and then we had to put our Guardians thoughts at the end of it?
Jesus Christ.
Well, actually,
no.
Because we're seeing the episode doesn't go up until Friday, and we're both seeing Guardians on Thursday night. We can't do it.
Not next week.
It wouldn't be this Friday, but the Friday after.
See, this okay. This is what confuses me about what we're doing. It is going to be on next episode.
Mm-hmm. Oh. If we record it that Thursday,
we are going to be recording it that Thursday,
and then.
Okay. Next week is going to be all Comic-Con stuff. The end of it will have our thoughts on the midnight viewing of Guardians.
Yes.
That's what's happening. Boom. We got this.
Done and done.
So, Chris, I want to talk to you about pizzas.
Okay. Which kind?
All of them. See you guys next week.
Novelty pizzas, correct?
Novelty pizzas. See you guys.
Bye. 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 Bye.